On today's video, I got a deer and I took care of it all by myself.
All right. So, I was out at the deer camp for a few days, not shooting anything and really not seeing too much of anything. And I come home and there's this buck hanging in my shop. And it's the buck that my wife got, which I'm not really super surprised. But anyways, yeah, she had a lot more success so far this year than I did. Why don't you go ahead and tell them a little bit about it.
Okay, so I decided to bait before, even though I knew there was a couple pieces of stuff out there. And when I went out to bait, there was a spike horn in the bait pile. And he just stepped to the side, and I just talked to him the whole time and whatever. I think I was even singing some songs to him and stuff. And then when I got done, I just said, okay, well, I'll see you in a few minutes. And I went and...
Yeah, because you didn't actually have a gun on you when you went to throw the bait out. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyways, I went up, went around, got into the blind, and he wasn't there, which was odd because he stayed for a real long time and didn't even seem to care that I was there. And sat down in the blind and loaded my gun and realized that I had only brought one shell and was sitting there and going, okay, well, maybe you'll just need one shot. And then after a minute I thought to myself, I was going to be truly disappointed if I shot and then the deer got up and I felt like I needed to shoot again. So I decided I was going to put my gun down and go and get my little pouch with my extra shells. And when I went to put it down, off in the distance I could see movement. So I brought up my gun and I was looking through the scope, and there was a really, really nice buck just kind of moving around. And he walked off into the right and came around, and I really had forgot to ask Dave the distance that I could shoot with the gun. So I didn't feel like he was close enough for me to shoot, which now I know that he was. But he did come a little bit closer, kind of stayed behind some brush, did some sniffing, and then he just turned and walked off. And
it never actually came to the bait, hey?
No.
So you weren't really sure.
He didn't get in where I thought.
Yeah, where you were expecting to shoot a deer.
I should be shooting.
Yeah.
Which is no big deal. So he wandered off, and I could see him heading back. We have a nice big rock in the woods, and I thought, oh, look at him. He's heading over there by that big rock. And a few minutes later, another deer comes in, and I was like, I'm not leaving now. I'm not going to go get shells. I'm just going to stay here. And so in comes another deer, but then it just looks at where he is and wanders off. And probably within 10 minutes from then, this guy comes in, and he made things so easy for me. He just came off from the side, wandered in, stopped a few times to sniff, but not for long, and I didn't even really wait for him to get close to the bait pile, and I took my shot, and he put his head down, and he ran, what do you think it was, about
maybe
20 yards?
Yeah, I was going to say that, 20 yards probably.
Yeah.
Because she showed me how far it had run.
Yeah, he ran with his head down for about 20 yards and just right on the ground. So I went back to the house, put my gun away, grabbed a tow rope and everything I would need, and I hopped on the four-wheeler, and of course, like I said, it only ran 20 yards, so it was close to the bait pile. So when I turned off the four-wheeler and I looked, there's that spike again in the bait pile, and he just sat there, and I talked to him, and I tied the rope to his horns. I didn't want to gut him over by where we're still hunting, so I just tied him to the four-wheeler and drug him home, and like I said, that little spike stayed there.
Yeah.
I asked him if he was crazy.
Yeah, it's a wonder, and our daughter Taylor has been hunting too, and it's just I'm surprised she hasn't seen him yet. You know,
Yeah.
That would be a great little buck for her to get. She hasn't she hasn't hunted in about 12 years, so that would be nice for her to get a little success. So hopefully he'll be back. And then, yeah, so you drug him behind the four-wheeler off to kind of a different part of our property, right? And then you gutted him there, hey?
Yep.
Yep, and brought him in here, strung him up.
Yep.
And like I say, I wasn't real surprised to come home to a deer. You know, I knew you were going to be hunting, and I knew we had some bucks around, so I'm not too shocked. And another reason I'm not too shocked is this isn't really the first time that you've kind of done this sort of thing. I know, remember back when we were dating even, and I would hunt out a friend's camp, and I remember coming back 2 different years when we were dating, coming back from deer camp, and you had shot deer by your parents' house, and it's kind of the same deal. Your dad actually goes out of town to hunt with some relatives at a camp out of town, and yeah, same thing for him. He comes back 2 years from camp. I came back from camp, and there's the little huntress Marie. She's got deer hanging, and I think a couple of those years me and your dad at that time didn't. So yeah, you kind of show us up here and there on kind of a regular basis. Yeah, so pretty much I went to camp and I hunted for like 3 days, and I didn't see a horn. And you basically you went hunting twice, hey? Was this your second time out?
Yep, and I was probably there about 30 minutes.
Yeah, so you hunted 2 evenings, and you saw 3 different bucks in the span of probably 40 minutes, probably. Hey, you saw 3 different bucks. Yeah,
because I didn't see any bucks the day before.
Yeah, so all 3 of them that second.
If you include my baiting before I hunted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. That's a lot more bucks than I saw. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice little buck. It's probably by the letter of the law, it's probably a 3-pointer, but it's kind of trying to be a 5. It's got a couple little points that probably aren't quite long enough to count, but they're real close. But yeah, what a great deer, and you put a good shot on it, right in the front shoulder there. Like you say, it didn't go far at all. And then when you took the heart out, right, you said you had just nicked the heart, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, no problem gutting it, hey, because I mean, you've gutted a few deer since that first one you shot. Yeah, you've gutted a few with me. You've gutted a few on your own, just with me around. But this is your first deer, hey, from start to finish. You pretty much did it all by yourself. You went out hunting by yourself. You tracked it, gutted it. I mean, it wasn't much of a track job, but gutted it, drug it back, strung it up. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yes, I felt like a child after I shot it. I'm like, what do I do now? I'm used to somebody being.
Yeah, so. Even though you've been through it many times with me and stuff, and deer that you've shot. You know, you got that deer last year, so you've been through it before. Just you've always probably kind of had. For most of the time, I kind of directed the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's real cool. I feel like I had you fully prepared for this moment. to shoot, gut, drag, string up. You were all prepared for it, so that's good. Good, from the sighting in to the gutting, you were very prepared, and it went really good. So that's awesome.
And I knew if I had any troubles, I could bring up your video.
Yeah, there you go.
So I did. I thought about it several times, and then I was like,
sure.
You know the anatomy.
Yeah, you got to figure it out.
Yeah, and I've nicked a gut before, so I know.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a little more careful, but.
Yeah, no, that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, awesome.
Remember to hunt, fish, laugh, and repeat. This is Marie Knetter and her buck for Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
Oh, all right. Sure.
This is Marie Knetter. This is her deer.
Nice buck.
Thanks.